second, and I'll just start my intro and let's go. Hello and welcome, one and all. Thank you for joining us on Modern Day Debate server for another fantastic debate between two Discord members who have given us our time to put their viewpoints on the table for this important topic. If you haven't checked out the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel, swing by to see some of the big names in the debate, address topics on theology, social issues, science and conspiracies, and much, much more. I'll put a link in the channel, so if you like debates, people pitting their ideas against one another, this is the place for you. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Anathema and Hannah and all the Modern Day Debate Discord moderators who do so much to make sure the server is a place of open, passionate and civil discourse where everyone gets their say. They do a great job and we appreciate them putting in their time. And speaking of time, it's debate time, and tonight we are debating the topic of abortion controversy, which is a contentious subject with strong opinions on both sides. So let's keep it civil and polite and have a fantastic day. On the pro-life side, we have ShellShock, and on the pro-choice side, we have Dee. Suddenly, and thank you so much, Dee, for filling in the gap there. Usually the affirmative does go first by tradition, but would either of you like to start?
You can start, Brad.
Oh, okay. I agree with you that unjustified killing is wrong, but in this case,
Can you
of
speak
abortion,
louder? I can't hear you. Maybe it's the mic.
Hang
on, maybe I can change it.
Me, the volume seems perfectly fine. I haven't adjusted it. Have you adjusted the volume at all?
I'll adjust from my side.
I always worry that I'm coming across too loud and then I'm screaming.
No, you seem fine to me. But let's give it another try and see if certainly tell me if you can't hear Dee, ShellShock.
I can hear him now.
Fantastic. Sorry, take it away, Dee.
Okay, well, I mean, I agree with you that, unjustified killing is wrong. We can get past that. And I'll even concede that, life begins at conception. It's not something I personally believe, but for the purpose of this debate, let's just go ahead and get that off the table. But the problem is that it is justified. You have no rights to somebody else's body, just like that child has no rights to the mother's body.
Okay. So my opening statement would essentially be that, to which Dredd said that he agrees upon, is that abortion intentionally kills a human life. Intentionally killing a human life without justifiable reason is wrong. Hence, abortion is wrong. Dredd mentions that it is justifiable, and I'm now going to explain why it isn't justifiable. I don't think it's justifiable in this instance because you should not be allowed to unplug from somebody that you yourself put in that position. It's not like the child chose to be dependent on the mother. It did not show up there magically. Two consenting adults committed an action that resulted in that pregnancy.
Yeah, but that's beside the point, because when you get to the point where there is a unwanted pregnancy, the unborn child is the offender in this case. He is the intruder.
When you say unwanted pregnancy, sorry, please continue.
What do I mean by unwanted pregnancy? It's in the definition. It's in the name. It's a pregnancy that is unwanted. There could be a myriad of reasons why it's unwanted.
No, define an unwanted pregnancy.
Somebody that is pregnant and either, in a distressed state about the pregnancy, or, actively does not want...
Somebody who doesn't want to be pregnant anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if a woman wants to be pregnant and then a situation arises that doesn't,
yeah,
her boyfriend breaks up with her.
You're allowed to withdraw consent, yes.
Even if it means the death of another human being?
Yes.
Okay, so if let's say that a patient is in a coma, right?
Is the violinist
No, it's
argument?
kind of like the violinist, but I'm gonna explain.
Okay.
Let's say a patient is in a coma, right?
Okay.
And the doctor tells me that if I want to be, and I tell the doctor that I'm willing to donate my blood to this guy, and the doctor tells me, okay, fine. If you want to donate blood, you're gonna have to donate it for 9 months. And I said, no problem. And he says, but if you unplug halfway through, then the patient will die. He will not go back into a coma. You get my point?
Yeah, yeah, and in this case, there is a, I assume there's like a contract or something. If nothing else, a verbal contract
Yeah, essentially.
between
So
the two
I
parties.
go and I donate my blood, and 3 months later, I change my mind. Do I have the moral right, legal right to unplug from this person? Moral or legal?
Moral, yes. Legal, no.
No, morally, I don't think you do, because you created the situation that resulted in this person being connected to your body. One of the arguments of body autonomy is that no one has the right to your body, but that's not exactly how the body autonomy argument applies. Body autonomy allows us to reject medical intervention. It doesn't allow us to demand medical intervention. We can choose to reject donating our blood to somebody, but we can't demand somebody to give their blood to us. Agree or disagree?
Well, agree, but that's what the child and the person in the coma would be doing. They would be
And
constantly
how are they
demanding
demanding?
blood.
The person in the coma has no moral bearing. He cannot demand anything.
No,
He's in
he
a
is
coma.
reliant on it. His life is dependent on it.
When I plugged myself to the person in a coma, did the person in the coma had any say in the matter?
Well, through proxy, yes.
Wait, what do you mean through proxy?
The doctor had a say. The doctor that hooked you up. They spoke on behalf of the person. See, when you're talking about a child, there is no communication. There is no contract. There is no agreement.
No, wait, hang on. What do you mean? We can replace the patient in the coma with a child. Now is there a contract?
Yes, with the parent of the child or the doctor. There's going to be somebody else there to argue on behalf of the patient.
No, okay. Hang on. I'm a little bit confused by what you mean. First, you said that there is a contract, and there isn't a contract with an unborn child because it's a child. But so I changed the person in a coma with a child, and now you're saying there is a contract. I'm confused on your contract argument.
Well, because
Does that even have any bearing to the abortion debate?
well, I see, a person consenting to having sex as consenting to, the outcomes of sex, but that does not consent to 9 months and labor.
I think it does. To give you
No,
another
because
example,
that hinges on the fact that you aren't allowed to evacuate somebody from your body.
not when your actions put the person in your body in the first place. That's the
So,
argument I'm trying to make. To
so
give
if
you
you
another
invite me,
example,
no, let me try it. Let me try it. If you invite me into your house and I come into your house and then, start, wrecking shit and, like breaking shit and like
okay,
kicking down doors, like you're allowed to kick me out. I think of it the same way.
let me put it this way. Right? Let's say that I see a baby on my porch, right? And I know that this baby is very feisty. He's gonna break all my shit. He's gonna drink all the milk. He's gonna drink all the pumpkin soup, which he might eat as well. I don't know. Regardless, he might eat all my food. He might bite and scratch and claw me, right? He might damage me in some way. Now, let's say I bring him to my house, knowing that those things are going to happen, knowing that all of these things are going to happen, I still invite him to my house. Do I have the right not to kick him out, to shoot him in the face?
So okay. So the child that is born has rights. The child that
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
isn't
whoa,
born
whoa.
doesn't have
Why does
rights.
the child who has born has rights?
Because they're legal rights. They're given at birth.
We're not really well. If that's the point, if tomorrow the Supreme Court decided that unborn children have legal rights, then are you going to make the same argument?
So I believe it's morally wrong to kill. I'm not making the moral argument.
I'm saying you don't have a legal right to evacuate a baby if you are aware of the consequence. If you're aware of the fact that it's going to die in the process. That's what I'm trying to say. You say that
Exactly. Because the child that's born can survive on its own. I mean, true, not for
no, it
long
can't.
if you just abandon it. Yes, it can breathe on its own. It can, pump blood throughout its system. It can, eat food on, maybe not solid food, whatever. It can do the things necessary for life in the moment. Maybe not continued life throughout the years. It's just a baby. It can't provide for itself, of course. But the child that isn't born yet doesn't have that ability. It is dependent on the mother.
If I leave my child in the middle of the street, do you think it will survive?
For the moment.
Why does for the moment matter?
Because there's a legal obligation to take care of things that can't take care of itself. Whereas there's not
unborn
a legal
babies also
obligation.
can't take care of themselves, though.
Yeah, but there's not a legal obligation to take care of a parasite that is not worthy of consideration because it can't take care of itself outside the womb.
Wait, hang on. First of all, the same species cannot be parasites to each other. The sole exception is birds, and in that instance, birds are only considered parasites when they lay eggs in other birds' nest. The equivalent of that would be some guy leaving his kid inside your house and threatening you that if you don't feed his kid, then he'll kill you or he'll destroy your house. In that instance, that kid would be a parasite, but an unborn baby is not a parasite legally.
What is it? The stories where the hospital like switches kids at birth accidentally. That's kind of what it would be like.
No, it wouldn't, because nobody's threatening anybody. It's an accident.
Well, no, it's you're taking care of somebody else's offspring. That's the whole.
Taking care of somebody else's offspring does not make them a parasite. That's not what constitutes as a parasite, at least of the same species.
Unknowingly, that's the same thing as the birds. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
No, not unknowingly. Again, unknowingly is not relevant. Otherwise, every single father that doesn't know it's their kid is currently taking care of a parasite, and they won't call that kid a parasite.
I mean, by your bird analogy, that fits to me.
No, listen. The bird analogy requires a bird to lay their eggs in another bird's nest. And then that bird and essentially, I don't know how they talk to each other, but essentially the implication here is that if you don't take care of my baby, I will come to your nest and destroy it.
I thought the implication was that birds were stupid and couldn't recognize other species.
No. They can recognize them. But first, it's the same species, but they can recognize them, but they're forced to take care of them. That's in that instant, that baby is a parasite, yes. Okay, so first of all, it's not a parasite. Secondly, you already agreed.
Like the violinist example and yours, if you're hooked up to somebody in a coma, that would make them a parasite. If you're forced, if you're willing to do it, it wouldn't. Right?
No, again, it's not a parasite. And again, if the violinist argument even did apply, it would again only apply in cases of rape because you did not create the situation that you are in.
Well, isn't the violinist experiment where you wake up and you're already hooked up to him?
Yes, but in consensual cases, that does not happen. In cases of rape, yes.
So you don't believe that once you are pregnant, you can withdraw consent to be pregnant?
Not if it results in the death of the baby. The only if the only way to withdraw consent, and it's not withdrawing consent, but like if the mother's life is at risk, then I don't care if you have to put the baby in a blender or whatever, or you heat it in the sky. The mother's life should 100% of the time take priority of the child. That is not negotiable.
Wait, okay, so are you aware that giving birth is more dangerous than having an abortion?
This is a false statement. The statement for abortion is 14 times safer than childbirth is not true, for one thing.
Well,
Secondly,
yeah, that's false. That's way off.
but again, the maternal mortality rate is 0.017%. And the chance of dying from a cold is higher than childbirth. So if you can kill somebody that can give you a cold, then I could see your argument being that you can kill a baby if you're gonna have to suffer through childbirth.
Wait. The argument's not I'm afraid of this, so therefore I'm going to abort the baby. The choice
But
is,
afraid? I didn't say afraid.
well, you're talking about cold statistics, but okay, look, the choice is, becomes after you are aware you're pregnant. There are two options when dealing with the pregnancy. Have the
Okay.
child, which has a higher risk of death and injury and bodily effects, whatnot. Or
Mm-hmm.
you can abort it, which has a lower chance of all those things.
I mean, first of all, not necessarily. There are plenty of women that have died getting a legal abortion. In fact, there was an abortion advocate that died getting an abortion. That took me quite a long time to find, actually.
Yeah, and millions of women died before modern medicine in childbirth. That doesn't mean anything because we're talking about modern legal standards. We're not talking about going to Mexico and getting the
Modern
abortion.
legal standards, consent to sex is consent to pregnancy. You cannot choose to evacuate a child that only exists because of your actions.
Can you say that again?
Morally and legally, you shouldn't be able to evacuate a child that only exists in that situation because of your actions. To put it in another way, let's talk about a conjoined twin. Okay? Right?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay, one conjoined twin, one is connected from, these two twins are connected from the back. So one of their heart, conjoined twin A's heart works, but conjoined twin B's heart does not work.
So separating them would be murder for B. Yeah.
No.
Or,
Well, yeah, but to kind of put it in a point, conjoined twin B is using conjoined twin A. Conjoined twin B is using conjoined twin A's heart to pump blood around conjoined twin B's body. Can conjoined twin A withdraw consent and kill conjoined twin B?
I don't see why not, especially if conjoined twin
Wait, what?
A's life was at risk.
No, life isn't at risk. These two are in a stable position, but conjoined twin A's heart has to pump blood for two people. Do you think conjoined twin A has a moral right to kill conjoined twin B? Moral or legal right? Because the conjoined twin B's heart doesn't work, he has to use conjoined twin A's heart.
Well, no, again, I don't think there's any moral justification for killing. And B,
Okay, legal
the
then.
legal argument would only be if a doctor finds cause for this operation. So without that cause, no, of course not. But with that cause, yes, of course.
No, what's the cause?
Any kind of medical emergency for twin A, because twin A has viability past the operation, whereas twin B doesn't. So if
No,
twin
twin B
B,
is viable right now.
well, yes, but if twin B's existence is affecting the quality of life of twin A, then the doctor
Mhm.
would want to step in,
Okay,
possibly.
so
I'm not a doctor.
in this instance, if conjoined twin A was conjoined twin A did not like conjoined twin B anymore, then the conjoined twin A does have a legal right to kill conjoined twin B. I'm not asking if they have there's a medical complication, but conjoined twin B is fully dependent on conjoined twins A.
Well, it wouldn't just be killing, it would be a medical procedure, and they'd have an artificial heart for
Just
twin A,
because you
and
call it a
you know,
medical procedure is not a blanket statement.
well,
Okay,
because
I can
you
call
aren't
it a
taking
murder,
the
but that
act.
doesn't make it true to you, right?
No, because you aren't taking the direct act of killing the twin. You are taking a procedure to improve your quality of life, which results in the death of the twin, most likely. But like in this
If
case,
I leave my son, in the middle of the ocean, I didn't kill him. He dies. I don't have to feed him anymore. My pay goes up. My quality of life goes up. Is that acceptable?
no, because you have a legal obligation to take care of the child that can't take care of itself. You don't have a legal obligation to things that can't survive outside the womb, to something that hasn't been born.
Well, first of all, I can't believe you said yes to the conjoined twin question. But legally, this actually has already been answered. One conjoined twin A does not have more moral or legal right to one's body more than conjoined twin B. They're
That,
responsible for each other.
yeah,
This
that's
has
why there
already
has
been
to
done
be a
legally.
medical need. There has to be a medical need for that operation to be even considered.
No. If there needs to be a medical need, then why can't we apply that line of logic to pregnancy? If there's a medical need for an abortion, I already said I support it.
Well, I did. I described that giving birth has more adverse effects than abortion. That alone is reason for abortion to be on the table.
Yeah, more adverse effect. Yes, but everything has. Listen, first of all, everything has adverse effects. But you would never apply this to a born child.
Because they have legal rights.
Oh my God. Okay. If tomorrow the Supreme Court, the United Nations said that human life starts at conception, it has all the legal protection as a born human being from the moment of birth, would you be against abortion?
I mean, okay, so like I said at the preface of this, like I am against the act of abortion, but I am pro-choice because I believe it's more immoral to force childbirth than the alternative.
Okay. Let me put it this way. I guess I kind of have to convince you that consent to sex is consent to pregnancy. So let's put
No.
it this way.
I agree. I agree that
Well, if
when
you
you
agree,
consent to
then
something,
one of the effects of pregnancy is childbirth. So consent to sex is consent to childbirth.
and you can
Then this,
withdraw consent, in my opinion.
okay. Let me put it this way. If I choose to drink, am I consenting to getting drunk?
You are consenting to the effects of your actions. Yes.
So I am consenting to getting drunk.
Yes.
Okay. Can I withdraw that consent by killing something?
By killing something?
Yeah, by killing someone, a person, a born person. Sorry, an unborn child.
I mean, I don't think those two things are related.
Okay. Let's say that my wife is pregnant, right? And her baby soul, her unborn baby soul, and my soul is connected. If I drink and get drunk, the baby also gets drunk. So if I kill the baby, I stop being drunk. This is a hypothetical. Can I kill the unborn baby to stop myself from being drunk?
To stop yourself from being drunk.
I'm withdrawing consent of being drunk.
But that doesn't change your blood alcohol level.
No, that's the high point of the hypothetical. Let's just assume it does.
Let's assume that withdrawing consent to be drunk changes your blood alcohol level to a non-drunk state.
Yeah, but by killing the unborn child.
I'm so confused. What does the act have to do with withdrawing consent? Because when you're talking about abortion, withdrawing the consent and the act of abortion are two separate things.
Okay, what happens when you withdraw consent when you're pregnant?
It becomes an unwanted pregnancy.
No, so what happens to the unborn child?
They are an invader at that point.
Okay.
Colonizer.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, what do you do to that child after it becomes an invader?
Well, when you have a medical issue, you take that medical issue to your doctor, and then you work with your doctor to alleviate said issue.
So if a woman changed her mind at 9 months, you would be okay with getting an abortion?
No,
Legal, you would support that legal right to get an abortion?
No, there is a limit to this idea because, especially with modern medicine, like the viability of an infant is getting younger and younger. I think it's like 21 weeks or something like that now. Like preemies are getting tiny.
Yeah, 21 weeks, 2 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, the viability is the limit, in my opinion, because once it's able to survive on its own outside the womb, then you should have, the responsibility and duty that comes along with that.
The problem with the viability statement is that it changes depending on modern technology. For example, if 100%, let's say that 100% of born children were going to die, their viability percent chance of survival is 0. But you wouldn't say that these children don't have rights, right?
Sure.
Right. So I'm saying, why not apply that to unborn children? That even if their chance of survival is 0, would you not still apply that line of logic? Would you not still give them rights?
No.
Okay.
So I like to think of it the other way around. Okay, so I imagine, this utopian future in, 200, 100, 300 years, whatever, to where the viability due to, test tube baby technology or whatever, I don't know the sensitive term, but when your viability goes to the point of conception or really close to it, they could just like pop the egg out that's fertilized and, you never have any adverse side effects on your body. Like then the argument just falls apart. Then it's like there is no excuse for abortion whatsoever, in my opinion.
Okay, Dread. I feel like you're just too scared to say you're pro-life, man.
Well, I am pro-life. I believe it's immoral to kill life. Like that is part of my belief structure. But I also believe it's wrong to force women to have kids when they don't want to.
The only time we're forcing people to have kids is arguably during rape, and even that moment is a bit contentious. But I'm still willing to forego that.
So, forced procreation was a practice throughout history, slavery and all that.
Yeah. I'm aware. I'm brown.
But I mean, it's that along those lines. It's like that's why I make the property rights argument. It's because you have a right to your body, and you have a right to withdraw consent to your body, even if that would result in the death of another human being. If like a homeless person, and it's wintertime and they're in your house, you have a right to kick them out into the snow. It may result in their death, absolutely. But you have that right.
I do actually agree with that, but I don't think that that's actually legal. Like, I don't think you can kick somebody out from your house if you know they're gonna die. But I don't know. It could be. I mean, like I said, I support that. So maybe we don't really need to get into the legal argument. I think the problem here is that you invited the homeless man inside your house 9 months for 9 months, knowing the consequences of that action, and now you're kicking him out, knowing that he'll die. And I think that's the problem. If you shouldn't enact into an action that you're not capable of taking care of the consequences for.
Okay, I think Dee's gone a little bit silent there. I see his mute on. Dee, if you can, you're on mute. I'm not sure if something's come up, mate, but do let us know.
I'll wait a couple of minutes and then I guess we'll give our closing statements.
And just for the record, Dee did this on very, very short notice, and we really appreciate it. The actual interlocutor for the pro-choice side didn't actually show, so Dee's doing us tremendous favour. And for some reason, I see the Alphabet Gang in the chat at the moment, so I'm sure that Dee's got their fans out there. Absolutely. Yeah. So, do you want to go through the questions? It hasn't been a huge amount of time debating. I think maybe we've been going
about 30 minutes.
Yeah, half an hour or so. But it depends if Dee can actually get back on or not. Yeah, sorry, just a sec is what he says. So, yeah, and so I really encourage you to check out the MDD Modern Day Debate YouTube channel. You can see amazing debaters, all of the heavy hitters like Aaron Ra and Inspiring Philosophy, Austin Whitsitt. Whitson Gets It, and yours truly over on the YouTube channel, which is a fantastic place to see great debates. And yeah, if you do need to, we can provide the link. I'm sure Hannah's all over that, but I can grab it as well. Yeah.
I'd just like to add that I do have my own YouTube channel.
Oh, sure.
I make manga anime reviews. If you want to check that out.
Do you have it on your profile, ShellShock?
Yeah, I should, but I'll link it right now.
Yeah, sure.
In the chat.
Sure, no problem at all. Yeah, please do. We always like to support our interlocutors and sort of whatever they're doing in their endeavours outside of debate. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, ShellShock. That's awesome. There you go. So for anime reviews, go visit ShellShock.
And manga reviews.
Yep. I am a big fan of One Punch Man myself. That's probably my favourite. So,
my man.
Well, it's only because I can identify with the hero. It means a lot to me to have a hero that looks like
I noticed the resemblance.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And if you don't get that joke, maybe stop by ShellShock and you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, but a great debate. We'll see if Dee comes back. If not, we might have to go for questions. This may have to be a shorter one, so I do apologise. But when we do have somebody on in such short notice, it's a mark of greatness to be able to argue your position 1 second after getting the call to do so. So maybe we will go on to questions and.
By the way, Mark,
yes.
And to any other moderator, if I'm online. And you need somebody to debate pro-life, I'd more than welcome to join in.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all. I'll just get a list of questions here. There was only 2 questions coming in, both from Azramel. The first question is, when does an egg become a human?
An egg is already a human. I think he means when does it become a human being? Like, for example, your arm is human, your leg is human.
Well, I'm not sure. That's just what the question said. When does an egg become a human?
Well, then when it comes into existence, I'll answer the question as it is.
Okay.
Then when it comes into existence.
Okay, and I kind of feel guilty because we can't let D answer.
Dread is back.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Just switch headsets.
Oh, I see. Yep, no problem at all.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I probably agree. You know, it's a human that is of the mother. You know, until it's fertilized, then it is a separate human at that point. Just not a human in the way we would understand it, but it is a human cell.
Sure. Did you want to go on with open conversation, or did you want to just address these questions? Did you feel you had more in the tank, or there's anything else that you want to discuss?
For me, no, I'm good. But you said there was another question, two questions. What's the second one?
Well, do let D answer as well. What would you like to do?
I mean, he can answer first if it's a question for him.
Well, I'm actually curious about your beliefs on, you know, murder and killing, you know, outside of abortion. Like, how does it apply?
Kyle
You
Rittenhouse
know,
was self-defense.
so you allow justification of self-defense?
Yes, absolutely. By the way, I haven't actually keep track of Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, that was just a joke.
But you don't see a self-defense element in the pregnancy debate, the abortion debate?
No, I don't. It's not self-defense because I don't like. For example, if a baby aimed a gun at you and you shot it in the face, I would not categorize that as self-defense per se. It more like self-preservation, if anything, because the baby is not responsible for any action it commits, right? You would not say that, oh, the baby is responsible for aiming his gun at me. No, that doesn't make any sense. We would never blame a baby for any of its action it commits.
Well, so are you allowed to take self-defense actions against somebody unaware of their actions? Like if somebody loses control of a car, are you allowed to shoot at the car to keep it from running you over?
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't necessarily call that self-defense unless the person itself uh, caused the situation which resulted in the car going out of control. Like, let's say he was drunk driving, in which case he caused that situation where the car went out of control. In which case, if you shot the driver, the car would still run. But let's say the car does stop. But in this situation, I would consider that self-defense.
So why does that not apply to the baby? You know, the baby doesn't have to be aware of the threat or damage that it can do.
Well, first of all, like I said, it's not self-defense. I would at best categorize it as self-preservation. But there's also a thing called adequate self-defense. Like if somebody says, I'm going to kill you and walks away, you can't shoot them in the back of the head. That's not self-defense. But if you want to apply self-defense logic, then when the mother's life is at reasonable risk, I will say that yes, you can abort the baby, induce labor early, do whatever you want that would make sure that the mother survives.
So who decides what's reasonable risk?
A pro-life doctor.
And not the person at risk?
Well, no, like for example, if I'm injured and I go to a doctor and a doctor tells me, yeah, you're gonna fucking die, and I'm like, I'm fine, I don't feel any pain. Like I would say a doctor is more suited to decide whether or not somebody is at risk of their death or not.
And they should have the options available for the appropriate treatment, right?
The appropriate treatment outside of an ectopic pregnancy is not an abortion. It's inducing labor early.
Yeah, but that's not
You don't have a several day
viable in the
procedure.
first. That's not viable in the first, like, whatever.
You can induce labor early on a 17-week baby. It's not about viability.
Well, no, yeah, it is. It's about doctors having the available treatments that are the best option for the patient to choose. So if the patient doesn't have the best option to choose, aka abortion, then their medical treatment is lacking.
This argument hinges upon the fact that abortion itself is a medical procedure. But that again, we can just not consider it a medical procedure. I don't consider it a medical procedure. It should never have been an option in the first place.
No, there are absolutely reasons that abortions are the way to save the mother. Like, this is,
In
there's
the
dozens.
abortion is when you intentionally try to kill the unborn child. In an ectopic pregnancy, it's not considered an abortion because the mother and the baby will die if it's not treated.
Well, that's not the only issue that could result in an abortion or induced ectopic pregnancy labor.
What?
There are other complications. There are.
Brett, I already stated that I do support an abortion. Not that women should get an abortion when their life is at risk. You induce labor early. But if there is a situation where, for whatever reason, you can't induce labor early, you have to crush the skull of the baby and vacuum up its organs to save the mother's life. Yes, I would support that.
So, okay, well, yes, you accept the fact that there are reasons to include abortion as a medical treatment. Yes.
Yes,
You may
fine.
not.
Yes.
You may restrict it or define it or whatever, but the issue with me is for a woman going to the doctor to get adequate and full medical treatment. Abortion has to be available, and they are the ultimate determiners of what is, a greater cost to their quality of life, or what medical procedure is the way to go forward.
Okay. Hang on. If I go to a doctor and, well, no, you'll just say that it's a born child. Never mind. You'll just say a born child has legal rights. Never mind. I think the discussion is we've aired out all the dirty laundry.
Okay, not a problem. I'll just grab these questions again.
I just want to mention to Mayo Sama his latest question that I'm not talking about inducing labor early in an ectopic pregnancy. Please listen to the debate. That's what I'll say.
Well, I mean, we can certainly address those questions as they come up. I do apologise. The second question along was from Azramel as well. An embryo activates a mother's immune system. Specific biological processes go to protect the embryo from the mother's immune system. The mother's body registers the embryo as a parasite. What's your response to this fact? I think that's probably directed at you, ShellShock.
I don't have an answer. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
I don't have an answer.
Do you have anything that you want to put in from the pro-choice section?
I mean, I feel bad about using the flowery language of parasite, because it is hyperbolic to an extent,
Okay.
But it is what it is.
Okay. And a question from young baby Tate. If a mother is stranded and can only use her body, breast milk, to care for her newborn daughter, doesn't she have the obligation to do so? It seems like bodily autonomy is overridden, and that's probably for the pro-choice side.
I mean, overriding biology, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I could have prepared something for this.
Well, that's
debate.
okay. We know that you're here on very short notice, so I realize you might not have quick and ready answers for us, kind of thing. I get that. That's okay. Do you have anything to input, ShellShock?
I mean, I agree already, so there's
No,
no
that's fair. That's fair.
there's no input
Yeah,
from me.
sure,
No.
sure. Another question from Azrael. Thank you so much for providing so many questions as well. Thank you very much. How could a fetus suffer from death if it has no ability to recognize suffering? And that's probably for you, ShellShock.
So, okay, can you repeat the question?
How could a fetus suffer from death if it has no ability to recognize suffering?
A born baby can't recognize suffering.
Well, I think they said
A sleeping person can't recognize its suffering.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. More questions are coming, and I might have to grab another thing coming in. If you could just put who it's for as well, that would assist me a lot, people. I really would appreciate that if you could. I can usually guess who it's for, but just to be on the safe side, I really don't want to sort of make it so. Oh dear. Yep. Okay. The next one is from Mayasama. Is ShellShock aware that a ectopic pregnancy is when the fetus is not developing in the uterus, and the idea of inducing labour here is completely incoherent? Ectopic pregnancies are handled by inducing death via medicine and then surgical removal.
Okay, thank you. I'm now aware.
Okay. Nothing to comment on that one, no. Dee, do you want anything to comment on that?
Nah, I'm not a medical expert, you know. It's okay. That's
I don't know why my Discord doesn't seem to be pulling up your full name. What's your full name there? Dreadlils. It's not. It's just showing D. I don't know why. If anyone knows how to operate Discord,
Well, that's fine.
Please do tell me, because this is Dreadlils. I'm so sorry. I all it's showing is a D ... and if that's weird. That's really weird.
I think it's just the stage, because mine's showing like Mar for you.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you can call me Mar if you want. I'm fine with that. And the sixth question is from Young Baby Tate. Why should we believe that unborn humans without any consciousness have rights like you and me? And that's probably for you, ShellShock.
Well, I mean, a sleeping person is unconscious, a dead person is unconscious, and a person in a coma is unconscious. But all these three people have rights. Three groups of people, I should say.
Okay. Anything to add, Dreadlils?
So, if you believe in self-defense, you believe in like the ability to defend your life by taking another life.
I don't think that's what he's talking about when he says, "Do you have anything to comment?" He meant in regard to the question.
Usually in regard to the question, yeah.
So,
That's okay. That's
Sorry,
not
I
a
was-
problem.
I was
Not a
lost.
problem. We'll just go on with the question. That's not a problem at all. And I think I see. Just let me get another key. Just make sure I haven't missed any here. I think I missed one along the line. Somebody sent something in late after, perhaps. My apologies. I'm still getting used to this question bot, which was provided by Whodunit, who is amazing and has done a fantastic job to make the stage a really good interactive experience. For Shell, if contraception is start of life, then are IVF in lab inceptions in a petri dish considered life?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any thought on that, Dreadlils?
I mean, yeah, it's life. It's just not worthy of consideration because, it doesn't feel and stuff like that. Sure.
Okay.
There are born people that can't feel.
Are you talking about those people that have no pain sensation, no nerve?
That too, but like emotionless assholes, they exist.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. Are you talking about...
I don't think emotionless people exist. I think psychopaths that don't feel empathy, or like those people that can't use their imagination, like they just like live in hard reality. I can't even imagine what it's like.
Well, I was just making a joke anyway, don't worry.
Sorry, my autism's acting up.
No problem. The Truth Slayer has one to follow that up. Sorry, Truth Slayer, I forgot to mention the last one was from you. The last one was from Truth Slayer, and they follow that up with, should each discarded IVF zygote deserve a funeral then?
Not necessarily. Funerals are done for the living. Like if your grandfather dies, for example, they have the legal right to a proper send off. But in the end, the funeral system is usually done for the living. Sometimes you're not buried. Sometimes you're turned to ash, for example. So if the person who lost the embryo is it wants a funeral, then yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're getting...
I mean, I feel like the funeral service would have a right to deny anybody.
We're getting question after question. Wash says, ShellShock, can I tag in to give you a better analogy? This isn't really a tag team event. I'm sorry, Wash. This is sort of a debate where it's only fair if each person carries their own arguments. So I think we've got to...
He can just directly ask the analogy
Absolutely.
to...
if you want to say, put in a question, that's more tn fair. But yeah, there's not going to be tag-ins. I'm sorry, mate. This isn't a tag team event. So yeah, to be fair on everybody, we're just putting up the arguments of ShellShock against the arguments of Dreadlils. It's not really a tag-in. Wow. Okay, Truth Slayer, you're killing me. You're killing me. Truth Slayer asks, if IVF embryo in the lad is considered life, then why won't they be eligible for funerals?
For?
If IVF embryo in the lab is considered life, then why won't they be eligible for funerals?
No, like I said, the type of funeral. They are eligible for funerals, but there's a very realistic argument here that we don't have the time, money, and resources to give funerals to every single individual.
So,
understand that almost 64 million...
Right. Are
Sorry?
you saying that when you said funerals are for the living, you meant they're for the benefit of the living, not... Right,
yes.
Okay. I think that's where sort of there's been a miscommunication, yeah.
No, I thought that's what the sentence meant. What does it mean? Like, English is not my first language. What does this sentence mean?
Do funerals for things that are living, and therefore the embryos are living, so therefore they deserve funerals.
No, funerals is done for the benefit of the living. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I kind of think the other way around. Like, funerals are done for the benefit of the people that attend the funeral.
The living.
But you know, a funeral service has a right to deny people, you know, other than discrimination, you know, and I don't think you could claim they're discriminating against your.
No, I'm not I'm not saying that funeral homes or funeral rites would have the legal or moral duty to say yes or say no. That's not the point of a point of my statement. The funerals are done for the benefit of the living. Now, I'm not saying that we should be able to throw away these people randomly, but we should be able to discard them in a humane way, essentially. The problem with this, that would be the correct utopian way to do it. But we live in a very real society, and we don't have the resources to bury 64 million cells per year.
Okay.
And again, I think 64 million is just in America. By the way, I live in Pakistan. 64 million is like just in America. In Pakistan, it's a much more anti-abortion country, and a lot more poor people are constantly having kids here. So it's probably a lot higher in Pakistan. And hell, we can't even afford funerals for the born people here.
Okay, so Wash has sent in that analogy. Sorry, didn't know the tag would trigger you. No, I'm not triggered, mate. It's fine. The analogy is better spoken than written, but here you go. I mean, technically now it is spoken, Wash, because I'm reading it out. But you know, that's cool, mate. It's all good. We're just having fun. It's all fun.
Before we get to the question, Wash, next time, if you're interested, we could do a tag team debate against somebody
that would
else.
Be fantastic.
Hannah and Truth Slayer. How about Hannah and Truth Slayer? They seem pretty miffed, let's say.
Well, we can certainly discuss setting it up. You know, I'm sure Hannah will be amenable to setting it up, and you know, we can find some people for you, which is exactly what we love to do here, because we love debate, and boy, do we love debate. Okay, so here's the thing. If a pilot takes you on his plane consensually and intentionally, but decides halfway through the promised flight that they don't want to finish the trip, do they have the right to throw you off their plane? If the answer is no, then a mother acting as the pilot of her own vessel has no more right to discard a willing passenger mid-journey than the pilot did. And that's probably for you, Dreadlils.
Well, but the pilot and the passenger enter a contract that is dependent on the pilot. You know, the mother and the child don't enter into any such contract. I don't think that it applies, because in, you know, even if you consider the zygote, you know, life begins at conception, you know, even if you consider it a separate human being at that point, it still can't, you know, exist on its own. It still doesn't have the ability or the consideration, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't believe that life begins at conception. I believe that it has to have a brain and develop, you know, independent of itself. But if you want to argue from potential, then, you know, everybody has a life to live. Everybody has a potential. Everybody has the same moral consideration. I just don't think it applies.
Okay. Elusive Viper with a trolley question. A woman can either allow a fertilized embryo to die or impregnate it into herself. In what situations, if any, would she be morally obligated to pick option 2? That's probably for you, ShellShock.
Well, can you repeat the question?
I guess it could be for both. Well, it's a trolley question, which is just sort of a branching of 2 options. A woman can either allow a fertilized embryo to die or impregnate it into herself. In what situations would, if any, would she be morally obligated to pick option 2?
Now, if we're talking about morally obligated, then you should pick the option that allows you to be impregnated. Let's ignore the woman. Let's say it's my choice. I can choose to either let these set of fertilized eggs be be impregnated by these two fertilized embryos, or let those embryos die. The morally correct choice would be to save those embryos. That would be the morally correct choice.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you'd be saving two lives. To put it in another way, let's say that these are born babies. Let's say these are born babies, and I could either have the option to have these born babies become part of me like a conjoined twin for 9 months, or I could let both of them die. The morally correct choice is saving those children for my pregnancy-related problems that I will gain for those 9 months. But the legal question is, do you have a legal right to do that? In which case, I would say no.
Okay, and what would you say, Dreadlils?
I don't know, to preserve the human race or something. I don't know.
Well, I think they're asking sort of when should you morally be obliged? So moral obligation. When would you morally be obliged to impregnate an embryo, fertilized embryo, into herself, as opposed to just let it die?
Yeah, I think it would hinge on the importance of that embryo. Like, just, in the modern day with no, like, end of the world scenario, then I don't think there is a moral obligation.
Okay. And I believe this is the last question. Wash says, Dread, the mother enters into a contract to carry a child to term when she engages in sex that she knows can cause that to happen.
Well, I don't think that's the case. I mean, she agrees for the possibility to get pregnant, but carrying that to term is, a continuation of that, maybe, but it's a whole bunch of other steps along the way, risks and, changes,
Okay.
just comes across as women don't have this option, even though it is their body. And that's what I keep coming back to. It's like, who is the ultimate deciding factor in a question of what happens to one's body?
Are you against vaccine mandates?
That's probably a bit of a contentious topic to bring up. I'm not sure we can really discuss vaccines and things, as it might be construed by Discord as medical and misinformation. I think that's kind of dangerous. I'm sorry, ShellShock. I'm not meaning to sort of, say it's not valid, but it might be a little hot. I suppose maybe if you just answer that question.
Might start another half an hour
Right,
debate.
right, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I'll just touch on it. I'll just touch on it. So with the vaccines, you're talking about risk to others. With pregnancy, you're talking about risk to oneself.
Okay.
Okay, well that brings us to the end of the Q&A. Thank you so much. Did you want just a closing statement or something, or are you fine to leave it there? I'm more than happy to give you some time to make a closing if you do want.
I think
you want to go first, Red?
So yeah, I think that works as my closing.
Okay,
just
sure.
like who's in control of their body?
Yeah.
The woman, as it should.
ShellShock, did you want just a small statement to do your closing?
Yeah. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will become the next Mr. Beast, I swear.
There you go. You heard it here first on Modern Day Discord.
I don't want to get a real job.
I think Mr. Beast probably works pretty hard, actually, from what I've seen of him. But I'm not an expert on Mr. Beast's schedules as much as I'd like to be. But thank you so much, everybody, for giving us your time and paying attention to this amazing topic. That is, highly contentious, but does need to be talked about. And I want to thank each of our interlocutors, especially to Dreadlils, who stepped up at the last minute. And I, for one, know exactly how hard it is Fantastic job, everybody. If you do want to continue the debate, you can probably pop over to the politics room. Would probably be the right one to go to, I would imagine, if you do want to continue this debate on whether abortion is a thing that should be supported or not. But thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and I really hope you have a good day or night or rest of your week, and be kind to each other.
One more
Of
thing.
course.
One last thing. I'm on stage debates. Facts. If somebody wants to send me a DM to set up another abortion debate, I'm more than up for it.
I might take you up on that. How'd you feel about that, ShellShock?
Now I'm scared.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, do take care, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. I want to give a big thank you to every single channel member who does so much to help me and the community have a fantastic time and keep producing more content. Thank you so much, everybody.